I tried reducing my screen time with a DIY brick, and I actually increased my screen time. Let's talk about it. I'm Abby. I decided to make my own brick device. If you don't know what a brick device is, it's basically a small little square, and it's marketed as a device to help you take control over your focus and have better boundaries with your phone. The way that it works is the brick lives in one place in your house. You scan your phone on it and you are locked out of various different apps. A lot of people use it to lock themselves out of work at the end of the day or lock themselves out of social media apps. So I decided I wanted to create my own DIY brick device with an NFC tag and the app Foqos. Disclaimer, I believe this method only works for Apple devices, unfortunately. So I will show you my brick. I put my NFC tag on this little keychain. You can see it pasted here on the bottom. This lived above my desk, which was a perfect location for it. The way that I have created it is the moment that I scan my phone on this NFC tag, it begins the Foqos profile and locks me out of social media and shopping apps. Every night before I went to bed, I would scan it and make sure that I was locked out of social media. My scrolling habits often look like scrolling a lot before bed, scrolling a lot when I'm bored or transitioning between different activities, and then I find myself getting stuck. I often wake up in the middle of the night and start scrolling to help myself fall back asleep. I know it doesn't help me fall back asleep, but sometimes it's a problem. Oftentimes I would wake up in the morning and immediately reach for my phone and start scrolling. I have screen time limits of an hour on all social media. The moment that I hit that hour limit, I am ignoring and pausing for 15 more minutes and I am continuing to scroll. I am like a tablet trained little kid where an ad pops up and I know exactly where to press the screen to close it. It's muscle memory at this point. Having this brick device basically living above my desk, it forced extra inconvenient steps between me and scrolling, which was extremely helpful. So if I did wake up in the middle of the night, I had to get up from bed, which who wants to do that? I had to get up from bed. I had to walk my booty over to my office, reach over my computer, scan the NFC tag so that I could get back into social media apps. And I don't know about you, but that is so many steps for my little pea brain. And I wasn't going to do all that. Once I was in bed, I was staying in bed and I was not getting up, which is fantastic. That is everything that I needed. It worked amazingly for the first week. I want to walk through some of the stats that I recorded. So from June 7th to 14th, for comparison, this was before I started. I was on TikTok for a total of 10 hours and 45 minutes that week. So in week 1, my screen time decreased by 6%. That's not a lot, but I feel like that was a good, healthy, sustainable decrease in screen time. I was on TikTok for 6 hours and 26 minutes. That's a decrease by 4 hours. I would say that is a win. That is a win. I did unfortunately replace a lot of my time scrolling on TikTok with watching Twitch live streams. Hey, look, my brain is loud and I apparently can't sit in silence. We're going to work on it. The end of that first week, I did end up going on vacation. I did not bring the NFC tag with me. So unfortunately, I fell out of practice of scanning my phone before bed and just kind of started to get a little lackadaisical with the boundaries on my phone. At the beginning of week 2, I did return from vacation. And again, my boundaries after being on vacation, I found myself not breaking my phone at night. My screen time went up about 9%. My time on TikTok went up to about 10 hours again, which was my usual time. I do think it's important to reference that week I was filming for a client and I did spend a good 3-hour session filming for them natively on TikTok. So that was one thing that was a little frustrating. By week 3, I found myself getting extremely irritable. I do think that was attributed to a little bit of withdrawals. And there was a night that I did fall asleep with my phone unlocked. I don't have a timer on the lock on my phone. I always have to manually lock it. And so I fell asleep with it unlocked and my screen time data was exceptionally skewed. I logged in 12 hours of screen time. It's fine. My screen time went up 22%. The rest of that week, I think I did fairly well. I think I only had one day where I went above 4 hours on the screen time mark, and that was on Thursday. And I was also filming for social media on that day. So again, it was just kind of skewed that week. Week 4 is where everything fell apart. It was a complete and utter disaster. I woke up Monday extremely ill. I had a fever. I did not sleep the night before. And then I was in bed for 3 days with said fever that just would not go away. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't read. I couldn't work. I couldn't get comfortable watching a show. And even if I did watch a show, I would fall asleep halfway through the episode and then be frustrated because I would have no idea where I left off. So I was just scrolling on TikTok. I would wake up, be cognizant for maybe 30 minutes and just scroll on my phone. And then I would fall asleep for 1 to 2 more hours and repeat that. In total, I spent 20 hours on TikTok that week. That's a part-time job. My screen time increased by 10%. Considering the week before I went up 22% and then followed up with another 10% increase, bad. It was bad. So where am I going from here? I could talk about how I feel like a failure. I feel that I shouldn't try again, that trying to reduce my screen time is pointless, yada, yada, yada. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, I think the efforts were admirable and I do want to have more intention with the way that I scroll. So we're trying again. We're going to go ahead. We're starting a new month. We're going to try it again. So this month, in order to try to be a little bit better and a little bit more intentional and maybe feel like I've succeeded in something, I'm setting a couple more rules for myself. I also want to create a menu of activities, of things to do when I hit that slump, when I start getting into that irritability funk. I want to make sure that I have a menu of activities to turn to and remind myself, hey, no, there's plenty of things to do besides scroll on your little tiny computer in your pocket. There's more to life than this. So I've already created this. This is my off-screen menu, and it has a list of a couple of activities that I can turn to when I'm not scrolling on my phone. So a lot of this is paper crafting, reading, coloring, cutting things out so that I can collage them later. This is on screen, but it feels off screen. Okay, it says off screen menu up here, but listen, it says make progress on an unbeaten video game. And I know video games are screen time. I know that video games are screen time, but it feels like a different genre of screen time than scrolling on my phone. With scrolling on my phone, I feel like it is a very passive consumption of content rather than an active participation in content. I love video games, storytelling in video games. My brain feels so happy when I can just really lock in on a game. So it's part of the off-screen menu. It is a screen, but it's a different vibe of screen. Okay, it's a different vibe. Listen, write. I write for work. I edit for work. By the time I get to the end of my day, I'm fatigued. I don't want to write more, but girl, I feel so much better when I am writing for myself and doing my own creative writing. So it's on the list. Baking or cooking, checking on the garden. I don't actually have a garden. I have a back stoop and there is one plant out there. I had 2, but it died. So there's one plant. That's the garden. So I can go check on the garden. I can go do some things out there. And then also a color walk, which is a classic activity where you choose a color and you try to notice all of the different things that you see with that color. For TikTok social media work that I have to do, I'm scheduling in those blocks of times and I'm holding myself incredibly accountable to not spend more than those allotted hours on TikTok. I also want to make sure that I am bricking my phone by 8 p.m. No excuses. So that means by 8 p.m., I should be locking my phone and starting to unwind for the day. Will I unwind from the day in the sense of stopping work or stuff like that? I'm not sure, but I do want to make sure that I am not on social media after 8 p.m. So those are some of the things that I want to do. We're going to try again this month, and I'm not going to dwell on the fact that I feel like a failure. I think our relationships to screens and phones and mindless scrolling are constantly changing and evolving. I just want to have a little bit more power and control over my attention and my time. And this is one way that I feel like I can start to reclaim that. Is it a process? Yes. Do I still love TikTok? Do I still love Instagram? Do I still love the silly little videos on my phone? Yes, I do. So I don't want to give them up completely, but I also want to have better boundaries. It's a work in progress, I guess. So thanks for watching. I will see you in a couple more weeks, and I wish you the best. If you are going on a similar journey, having better boundaries with your phone, I wish you the best of luck.